Welcome to Sib Spot. Today's Reddit stories, again, are from Am I the A-Hole? Seems to be some people's favorite, but also some people's least favorite topic that I cover here. If any of you have other suggestions of stories that I could be reading, I thought about doing r/nice guys and r/nice girls, but some of those are so toxic compared to these, but I might get into doing that. And somebody else said Tales from the Squad Car, but I have trouble finding stories that are actually well rated on there, or even viewed. Might be something I get into in the future, though. But today, Am I the A-Hole? Story 1 is by AITA. Am I the a-hole for flipping out on my fiancé after her daughter almost got me arrested? I'm a 38 male and I got engaged to my fiancé, who's 37, female, about 3 months ago. We've been dating for almost 3 years. She has 2 kids from a previous relationship, 15 female and 12 male. Their dad is involved in their lives, and for the most part, the adults all co-parent and communicate well. I get along really well with the 12-year-old, but I have always struggled to build a relationship with my soon-to-be stepdaughter, Riley. She has made it very clear to me, my fiancé, and her biological dad that she doesn't view me as a parent and doesn't want me to try to be a father to her because she already has one. A few days ago, my fiancé sent me a text message asking if I could pick Riley up from school because she had something come up at work and it was going to keep her late. My fiancé usually picks up Riley once a week and brings her to a chiropractic appointment to help with a sports injury Riley got. She told me she would call the school to let them know that I would be picking Riley up because I wasn't on the approved pickup list yet. However, when I got to Riley's school, it became quickly apparent that my fiancé forgot to call the school. The school has locked doors that require you to have a code or be buzzed in by the office. I buzzed into the office to let them know I was there to pick up Riley and that my fiancé should have called them to let them know. They didn't know anything about it. I was left waiting outside for 5 to 10 minutes while they figured it out. I tried calling and texting my fiancé, but she didn't answer. Then the school resource officer, an actual uniformed cop, came out and told me that I would have to leave and that if I refused, that he would arrest me for trespassing. I tried talking with him, but he just kept saying I was not authorized to be on the school property and that I had to leave. I had no choice but to leave without Riley. Finally, an hour later, my fiancé called me back. I explained what happened and she apologized for forgetting to call the school because she got distracted with work. She told me she would figure it out and meet me at home. When she and Riley got home, Riley went straight to her room. My fiancé sat me down and told me that Riley had lied to the office and told them she didn't know who I was and that she'd never seen me before. She thought it would be funny. She told me she explained to Riley how dangerous that was and was going to work with Riley's dad to figure out a punishment. Needless to say, I did not take that news well. I admit I did raise my voice to her. I didn't yell, but I did get louder than I usually talk. She told me to calm down, and I told her I won't calm down because her daughter almost got me arrested because she thought it would be funny. I told her that she's just as responsible for this as Riley because she didn't call the school, and it put me in a position where I looked like a creep or predator. My fiancé thinks that I'm overreacting and that I need to let her and Riley's dad handle this. I think it's important that your fiancé, Riley, and you go to the school and make absolutely sure they know you're on the list. Why are you guys engaged and you haven't been to the school yet? That's kind of strange, isn't it? Like somebody who's engaged to somebody would definitely have been involved with the kids at school at some point, wouldn't they? It seems so strange to me. But yeah. Your wife made a big mistake here, and her entitled, bratty daughter did the wrong thing, and she absolutely should be punished for this. And she should come downstairs right now and apologize and make sure that she never does something like that again. The fact that she was able to skulk off to her room without saying anything to you or acknowledging that what she did was wrong is part of the reason that she's so awful to you. She needs to come downstairs right now and have this conversation with you guys. Because you need to be respected, not maybe necessarily seen as a father figure. That's okay if she doesn't see you as a father figure. But she needs to respect you as a person and come down ASAP and apologize. Our next story today is by Hedgehog Men. Am I the a-hole for telling my husband that his mom is no longer welcome in our home? I'm a 30 female. My husband, who's 31, dated Kathy, who's a 30 female, for 3 years while at university. They were planning to get married when Kathy fell pregnant, but she confessed the child may be another man's. They broke up, but a DNA test proved my husband was the father. As such, my husband agreed to co-parent, but refused to rekindle the relationship. Very sadly, the baby was born with a heart defect and passed away at 4 months old. Both Kathy and my husband were destroyed, and Kathy ended up moving away. My husband went on to meet me, and we were married 2 years ago. My mother-in-law, who's 60, has always carried a torch for Kathy and thought that they should get back together when the child was proven to be my husband's. Then the next reason became so that Kathy and my husband could help each other in their grief. Unfortunately, between her love of Kathy and me being a different race, mother-in-law has made no secret of not liking me, to the extent where she's excluded me from family photos because I'm not family. My husband has always stood up for me in these scenarios. My mother-in-law's birthday was last weekend, and my husband wanted to throw a celebration at our house. We went the whole 9 yards with a cake and decorations. My husband also asked for my help picking out a very expensive handbag as a gift. I love my husband, and I know he loves his mom, so I'm happy to help him do something nice for her. My mother-in-law showed up on the day with Kathy in tow, which was a surprise for everyone. She said that she had run into Kathy at the store, as Kathy had recently moved back, and mother-in-law wanted to reintegrate the mother of her grandchild back into the family. Never mind that the baby had passed away around 6 years ago now. I was really upset, but this was only exasperated by my mother-in-law constantly trying to throw my husband and Kathy together. Kathy, why don't you go sit next to him? Kathy, why don't you go help him with the barbecue? Kathy, would you mind asking him where X is? I spent the whole day biting my tongue, but it was too much when everyone left and my mother-in-law asked Kathy to give my husband a hug. My husband initially refused, but after some pushing from mother-in-law, he relented and hugged Kathy. As soon as they left, I asked my husband what was he thinking. He said he didn't want to upset his mother-in-law on her birthday, but I asked why did he want to upset me? He said he didn't, he just thought it would be easier to handle with me later. I was furious and said that I either expect mother-in-law apologizes or she's no longer welcome in our home. My husband said that I'm going too far, but I don't think I'm being unreasonable. Was I the a-hole? Some people deserve to be kicked out of your house and or life, and your mother-in-law is a super nasty person. She did this deliberately. She may have bumped into her at the store, but she doesn't get to invite her over to your house. She wants to rekindle things with herself or whoever else. She can do it on her own terms, not at your home. She wouldn't be as much of the a-hole if she had her birthday party at her home and had invited Kathy over to that. But she's trying to throw a wrench into your relationship. Which to me, generally, I would say, hang on to your husband a whole lot tighter. But your husband sounds like he's not very supportive in this either. He sees you as the pushover and his mom as the tough woman. That needs to be addressed right away. And she needs to stop disrespecting your relationship. And she needs to be told that in the most emphatic terms possible, because she is a horrible person in this story. Down in the comments by Natural Garbage 7674, not the a-hole. Easier to handle with me later is code for I'd rather hurt you because it's easier to make you forgive me than to deal with the cause of the issue. He allowed his mother to force physical intimacy because he didn't want to upset her on her birthday when she brought the ex who cheated on him to your home and tried to make them flirt. She deserved to have her birthday ruined. My guess is that Kathy probably had very little idea of the pit she walked into. Whether she's been in constant contact with your mother-in-law and therefore very misinformed, or did just run into her and had no idea of any of the relationships going on. It's up to you and your husband to make a decision about what to do about her in the future. But make your husband deal with his mother. Make it clear that the standard he ignores is the standard he accepts. And even though he normally stands up for you, it's time that he stopped the disrespect entirely. Standing up to her hasn't done anything. She's racist and she's escalating her provocative behavior. If that means removing his mother from his wife's life, so be it. If I had a mother-in-law like this, I would be beyond angry. Your husband needs to handle this issue. But he also needs to stop disrespecting you by saying, oh, it's fine if you're upset because you'll just forgive me later and my mom won't. With a woman this awful, who cares if you break relationships with her? He should break the relationship with her if she doesn't stop her BS. Our next story is by TA Onlys. Am I the a-hole for not forgiving my stepson quickly? I have been married to Rob for 5 years. He has 2 children, Emma and Mike, 14 female and 16 male. I'm black and they're white. 2 years ago, they lost their mother. She died, and they started staying with us full time. Before, it was just weekends. My relationship with Emma is great. We are not mother and daughter, but I love her and we have great times. With Mike, he made it very clear that I would never be his mother or stepmother, just his father's wife. We're not close and we only talk about the basics, but at least he respects me. This week, my husband was busy at work and I had to pick up Emma and Mike from extracurricular activities. Thursday, I went to pick up Mike and for the first time, I found a spot close to the exit. When he saw me, he turned to his friends and said, "I'm going. My maid has arrived." He said it quietly, but I have excellent hearing, a fact that everyone at home knows except him because we don't talk. When he came in, I asked him why he called me his maid, and he replied, "I'm not going to call you stepmother or mother." And I continued, "But why your maid and not anything else?" He was quiet. Later, I told Rob what happened, and he talked to Mike about how wrong it was, how racist it was, and how insulted I felt. Mike immediately came to apologize, saying he hadn't thought of it that way and didn't mean to be racist. I said, okay, but that attitude had hurt me, because it's one thing to not accept me in the family, it's another thing to call me a maid. He's been trying to compensate by talking to me more and to help me with some things, but I'm keeping my distance. Today, Rob talked to me, saying I was being too hard on Mike and that he's trying everything he can do to make things right and is genuinely sorry, but I'm ignoring him. I replied that him being sorry for what he did doesn't change what happened and how humiliated I felt upon hearing that. I'm not ready to forgive for now, and it serves as a lesson for him. Hurting people has consequences. Rob said I'm being too harsh and it could be a moment of rapprochement between us. Learning and I'm wasting it. Am I the a-hole? People are not required to forgive in an instant. Absolutely not. It's actually a pretty small thing that he did this. It does seem like he's a generally well-raised kid for coming to you and apologizing. But this is teaching him that feelings don't just snap back. They're not like a rubber band. You don't stretch it out and it snaps back and everything's fine. It's not like that. People often feel hurt. Sometimes people feel hurt for the remainder of their lives over something that you would deem small. I can promise you most people have a story like that. Something that hurt them, that the other person thought would be small or a joke. And they may forgive them, but that doesn't mean they don't still feel hurt. Our stories for today have come to a close. If you guys enjoy this content, please click like or subscribe or leave a comment below. Each of these things helps my channel reach more people in the YouTube algorithm. Until we meet again, have a delightful day.